Hey, it's time for TV Skywriter.
Yeah.
Good evening, or good morning, or afternoon, everybody, and welcome to TV Skywriter. I'm Pat Murray, your host. I publish the Durham Skywriter, that's Durham, North Carolina's online community paper. And with TV Skywriter, I'd like to introduce you to people that I think you should know. About half of my guests are from Durham, and the other half is from different cities, countries, whatever. But today's guest is a Durhamite, a very interesting person I just met. In fact, I think we met via Facebook, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So my
Mhm.
guest is Tonya McMillan-Reed, and she published this book of poetry, but they're not her poems. So we're going to talk about that. Welcome to the show, Tonya.
Thank you.
Very happy to have you here. So, Soul of the Earth, Terri's poetry. Okay, obviously you're not Terri because your name's Tonya. So tell us who Terri is or was.
Okay. So Terry, my aunt's name is Theresa McMillan, and
Mm,
she went into the army. All her friends started calling her Terry.
mm,
Oh, and then when she came back from the army, her friends from home they would call her Terry also. So she's Theresa McMillan, but that's basically her nickname.
mm, mm.
Hmm.
Okay. So I don't know how much older she was than you, but was she writing poetry when you were a little kid, or did that come later in her life?
She started writing the poetry when I was a little child.
So
Nine,
what was your relationship? I mean, were you in the same city or?
yes, same city, Greensboro,
Mm,
North Carolina.
mm,
And like I was saying, she started writing the poems in 1974.
mm,
First one she wrote was about her my uncle. He was like 12 years old and he passed away. And she
mm,
wrote a short poem about him. He
mm.
had a hole in his heart and he passed away.
Ooh, wow,
Mhm.
wow.
And I was 4 years old back then. So
Mm,
there, when she was um, writing that poem, but she wrote some dates on some of the poems.
mm. So what was your relationship like? Did you get to hang out with her a lot, or? I'm trying to get a sense of her as a person before we get into her poetry.
Okay. Yes, we had a very good relationship. That was my mother's sister.
Mm-hmm.
Four girls. And there's two living now.
Mm-hmm.
Teresa passed away, and my other aunt, Larice, she passed away also. So
Okay.
we were with Larice and Teresa, myself and my aunt, and we were always together because with my aunt, she's about my age, a little older than me,
Mm-hmm.
and but we were like sisters, and we
Oh, nice.
spent a lot of time with Teresa.
Mm-hmm.
And she's, like I said, just a genuine person. And we would always go out to eat together. When she came from the army, she introduced us to oodles and noodles, and the kids, we did back then. I'll tell my students we had oodles and noodles in the 70s.
Mm-hmm.
And she would bring back all this foreign food and come when she came home, to had a chance to come home, she would make Chinese food that she learned how to make in Korea, Korean food, things like that.
Oh,
And
she was overseas.
yes, yes, yes,
Ooh,
she had many tours. Um,
wow.
remember, one time she had us, my cousins. It was four of us. We always were together.
Mm-hmm.
Three of us and about the same age, and she four, yeah, including my aunt. She had some Korean jackets made for us, like fleece jackets with our
Oh,
name,
nice.
um, our um, our zodiac sign.
Mm-hmm.
So excited. We was like outside marching, like we were in the army.
That is awesome.
She was always, she was like my second mother, always there for me when I had
Mm-hmm.
hard times. With my mother, sometimes you get into little spats and things, but
Mm-hmm.
she was, and anytime I needed something, she would provide it for me. If it was clothes,
Mm.
or things that I needed, she always provided for me, and I was always her babysitter or her first child.
Okay.
And just a genuine person. In every when I had a birthday, she always made me this beef stew dish with carrots and with vegetables and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
I was just so grateful to have somebody else that was motherly, you know.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Very nice. So was she known as the writer of the family, or was your family just did you come from a family of writers or poets?
I would say yes. She was the first writer, and then
Mm-hmm.
it was me, because I have written a lot of things like study skills packets, food and nutrition information, things about that I have I wrote about and passed out to people, emailed to people. Like I just did a fact sheet about the keto diet, and
Oh, I've
people,
heard of that.
yeah, all the people on Facebook are like, please send it to me. You know, it was just a fact sheet, not to be a very long and lengthy, just something to, because a lot of people was like, you know, I don't know what it is, what it's about. I didn't know where to start. So basically I just gave them a fact sheet, one sheet, and they were excited about that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love to write, and I think I inherited that from her.
That's wonderful. So how did you come across these poems, and how was it that she started writing poetry?
Well, in the book, you will read, people will read that her first poem was written at Page High School. She went to Page High School in Greensboro, North Carolina, and she wrote her first poem in the bathroom on the stall.
I saw that. I was like, what kind of poem was that she wrote on the bathroom wall?
I don't know. I would like to go to the school and see if it's still there. But she mentioned that, and she started, like I said, in 1974. We used to live with my grandmother, and I was in college, and so she would let me use her typewriter, the one with the bing, the old.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so I was using that to write my papers, and she said, Puddin', that's my nickname. My grandfather gave me that name. I was the first granddaughter born. And she said, well, Puddin', I've been writing poems. And she said, I want to publish a book. I said, oh, really? Awesome. That's great, you know. And I saw some information when my grandmother gave me the poems that she was trying to contact a publisher. And after I saw that, I was like, wow, you know, she was really serious about it. So that's how I learned about it. We was at my grandmother's house.
Okay. But she was deceased by then?
No, she died in 1997, I'm going to say.
Okay.
Yes. So when she died, I think she was like 43.
And she had some challenges, apparently.
Yes, yes.
So do you think the poetry was a place to escape to? Because she did have some pretty serious, what we would call urban, inner city type challenges. Yeah. Do you think that she found a safe place with her poetry? What do you think?
Yes, I think she did. She did, because a lot of the poems, you may have seen the word loneliness, you know, 3 or 4 times in some of the poems.
Yeah.
She was lonely. She never married. She has 3 sons, Jason, Jordan, and and all of them have different fathers. One of the fathers 2 of the fathers we have never seen. And I think, you know, the poetry really helped her as far as what she was going through. She also dated excuse me, a young man for a while. My aunt, she wrote a poem about this band that he was in. My uncle was in the band also. And it was called the Cavacus Band, and they would always be in Greensboro and Virginia performing.
Mm-hmm.
And she dated him, one of those players, and it lasted a long time, but I think she really loved him, you know,
Mm-hmm.
not work out. And so it's a lot in there about her being lonely. It was a couple of poems about him, you know, not knowing how to love somebody, you know, things like that. And just, you know, basically kind of mad. Some of the things she was saying was, I'm mad at you, you know. And
You probably didn't see them though, right?
no.
Yeah, I doubt she would show it to him.
Right. Actually, I reached out to a band member, and I told them about the book. You know, I asked them if they would please purchase it because it's a poem in there. I believe that's my favorite poem, about the band, and about you know, different celebrities in the book, but their names are not in there. You know,
I understand. Yeah.
and but yeah, it was, I think that was her escape when it came to her love life, you know, the life of her children. There's also a poem in there where the son was talking. He got out of school, and he was talking, and she wrote down everything that he said. You know,
Oh, okay. That's
that was
creative.
just so awesome, you know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, she you know, she kind of struggled with relationships.
Mm-hmm.
And she did get her first son. He was born while she was in the army, and but he's never seen his dad, you know. And so yeah, just, you know, that was her sanity, you know, writing the poems and, you know, venting, you know.
I bet it is for a lot of people.
hmm And I just love, you know, everything that she wrote in there, and it was just, you know, awesome to be able to kind of research some of the words. I had to Google some of the words because I didn't know what they meant, you know.
See, nice vocabulary. Yeah.
Wow, she's a genius. And I actually talked to her, one of her sons, Justin. He's
Mm-hmm.
incarcerated. He's getting out on December. He's getting out in December.
Okay.
Oh, my mom's book. He said, that is my Bible. That's what he said.
Wow.
And when she passed away, he was like 8 years old, 8 or 9.
Mm-hmm.
And the other son, when I gave him the book, and he was like, oh, you the greatest cousin ever. I just want to thank you for this because I never knew my mother. He said, but I know who my mother was, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And he was so excited about it, you
That's
know, because
wonderful.
he was
So
like 2 years old when
it's
she
like
passed
she's
away.
immortalized. Now, in your case, so you knew her well, and she died some years ago, 97. So when you read her poetry, does it sound like her? You know what I mean? Does it make you think of her and remind you of her? Does it sound like her voice?
Yes, yes. When I read the poems, and actually I sometimes I just take the book with me, you know,
Mm-hmm.
walking around in the house or going to another room. I do a lot of that because I'm just so amazed at the way that she wrote. Um, and she would, like the one I believe,
Mm-hmm.
and she talks about herself. The she says the loner, you know.
Actually, do you mind reading that to us?
Oh, I would love to. Yes, I believe. Okay.
It's page 27.
27, that's right. Okay. Yes, 27. I'm going to take my glasses off.
Okay.
I believe. I believe in fairy tales, knights in shining armor, loving damsels in distress, slaying dragons and heroes. I believe in kings and queens who count their gold to give a gracious ball, jesters, pranks, and peasants. I believe in a great golfer in his birdies and his pars, not to mention his golf clubs, him always smiling on the green. I believe in one of the greatest female singers of all time, her beautiful runs dancing swiftly for a million, singing bold, strong, loud. I believe in my brother, the unknown artist, producer, and technological brain. He amazes me, he captivates me. I love him, my brother. I believe in the greatest band ever, the first 9 musicians I ever loved, all at once. Sharing music, love, patience, and perseverance, never bending. I believe in my best friend, the beauty singing her song to the world of lovers, friends, always strong, and family who push her on, always strong. I believe in me, the writer, the loner who lives on lyrics, wanting, never having, never giving up, always writing.
I like that.
Yes, and I want to say something about the last piece.
Okay.
I believe in me, the writer, the loner who lives on lyrics, wanting. When she says wanting, never having, never giving up, always writing. And when she says wanting, never having, that reminds me of how we grew up. We grew up in the projects. My grandmother had 8 kids, and it was a 5-bedroom apartment, and my mother lived there. And when she turned 18, she moved out. She had me when she was 16. So moved out, and they were all in that house, but it was enough room. But it was the projects, and most of the families there had 8, 9, 10, 11 kids. Some dads were there, and some dads were not. I know my grandfather, he was there with my grandmother, but there were large families in the projects, And so my aunt, when she had her honorable discharge from the service, that's when she had her first son, and so she moved out and she moved into the projects. My mother moved out; she moved into the projects. Basically, my mother and I lived up the street, up the sidewalk.
Okay.
So Theresa moved into her first apartment in the projects, and it was Smith Homes in Greensboro, and so she lived there quite a long time, and then she moved while she was sick, with the breast cancer. Okay. She moved again to a nearby project down not that far. And then she was in the process of moving to her 3rd project apartment, but she didn't make it. That's when she really declined. Okay. And she had to go into the hospital, and that's where I found the poems.
Wow.
And like I was saying, always wanting and just being lonely. Let me look at it one more time.
So never having.
Right.
So it's like she never got what she wanted. What do you think she wanted?
Right. Let me see it one more time.
I'm guessing a knight in shining armor.
Never giving up, always writing. When I say never, she said never giving up. Her goal was she always talked to me about that, was to buy a house with her military money. What do you call it? I know she will always say it. I can't remember, but they have funds for veterans,
Oh yeah, I know what you mean, because my dad used his to help with the down payment and to go to college. The GI Bill or something.
GI Bill, yeah, GI Bill. So she always talked about that. That's what she wanted, to buy a home for her and her children, but she never got to do that.
Wow. Yeah. I'm going to read one of her poems.
Okay.
Okay, because I like this one. Carolina Autumn.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not good at reading poetry. I'll just do my best. Dazzling hues of amber brighten the sky, embellishing the old earth. Fiery shades of crimson capture every eye, seeing autumn for its worth. Brilliant leaves of hazel glow softly in the breeze, illuminating everything. Scattered hints of green peer throughout the trees, reminiscing of spring. Brilliant leaves of hazel blow softly in the breeze, magnificently illuminating. I like that. That's like painting a picture. I like that.
Right. Yes. I can tell you why she wrote that one too, because my my grandmother, she just loves trees. You know,
Hmm.
I used to go to Greensboro a lot to take my grandmother to the grocery store to pay her bills and things like that. And she was always look out the window. Oh, look at the trees! Look at the beautiful trees! And you
Like on the cover.
know, right. Isn't that something? That's a coincidence. And I do it too. Sometimes I'm driving. Oh, look at those beautiful trees.
Hmm.
Um. So yes, can you hold 1 minute?
Okay. This is the cover, folks, by the way. It's called Soul of the Earth, Terri's Poetry. So I'm talking with Tonya McMillan-Reed, and we're talking about her aunt, Theresa McMillan, who's called Terri. She lived from November 5th, 1954 until August 21st, 1997. Okay. So I'm sorry. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, I'm back. Sorry
Okay.
about that.
Okay, no problem. No problem. So I want to talk to you about the publishing of this book because there are a lot of people who write poetry and a lot
Hmm.
of people who really they don't know what to do. And you are the first person I've ever met who published someone else's poetry as a tribute. And I think it's a beautiful idea. It's a
Hmm.
wonderful idea. So if you don't mind my asking, how do you go about doing this? Is this called self-publishing or what do you call what you did here?
Yes, it was self-publishing. What I did, I started looking for different publishers,
Hmm.
and I was looking for the one that was less expensive.
Hmm. Sure.
And when I read all about and talked to the person at the publishing, iUniverse,
Okay.
and
Yeah. It's gonna
yeah,
iUniverse. Hmm.
and that's what they're saying. They're saying we are here to assist you, but you're self-publishing.
Okay.
And like I had her manuscript, and what I did was put all of the poems together where the way that I wanted them to line up according to her life,
Hmm. Oh, that's smart.
and everything was done online,
Oh, okay.
everything. I mean, it was smooth sailing. It was not difficult. It was just, and the company, the people that I work with, the customer service,
Hmm.
everything is very professional, very professional.
Hmm.
And I had to make some revisions,
Hmm.
and I did that, and they kept on asking me, "Are you sure? We can give you a little bit more time." It was just awesome. It's iUniverse. It was just an awesome company, and
Nice.
I'm excited that the books are on other websites. This iUniverse, Amazon, Books of
Oh, you can get it from Amazon.
yes, Books a
Oh,
Million. Um, what's the Barnes and Noble? You can also get the audio book. And you
really?
yes, if you have an iPhone, you can also use the book app on your iPhone, and for $3.99, you can do the audio book. Hmm.
So who reads the poems? Is it your voice or someone else's voice?
You know what? I had got on it a couple of days ago. I'm trying to figure out how to get the sound up, so I'm still working on that.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
'cause I actually paid $3.99. I was like, oh, I want to hear it, but I'm still working on
I understand.
setting up the sound.
Another thing I like about this book is that I'm used to seeing books, with your your official type,
Right.
but what I really like, I've never seen this before, where a couple of some of the poems you have the official typed poem, but then you have her handwritten poem,
Yes. Uh-huh.
and that just adds just makes you realize a person
Hmm.
wrote this.
Right.
A real person wrote this.
Yeah, and I just like looking at her actual handwriting.
Mm-hmm.
And before I published the book, I went to the library and I looked at different books, poetry books.
Mm-hmm.
First one I picked up was Tupac's book.
Okay.
I saw that he did that. He did one side
Oh, okay.
of his original writing, and I took the book home. Well, actually, a student had the book also,
Mm-hmm.
and his book is awesome also. And I read the whole book in like 20 minutes.
Wow.
Yes. So I did a little research, when it comes to um, composing the book.
Okay. Now, I'm just throwing this idea at you. I don't know if you're going to publish any more books or if your aunt had any more poetry, but I just want to give you an idea. So
Hmm.
I saw this book once. It was, there used to be a musical duo, Burt Bacharach and Hal David. They wrote a lot of songs, like Dionne Warwick recorded a lot of their music back in the 60s and 70s and whatnot. So anyway,
Hmm.
Hal David, so Burt Bacharach wrote the music, Hal David wrote the lyrics. And Hal
Hmm.
David, I stumbled across this book in a bookstore where, so Hal David, on one side, he'd have the lyrics of the song,
Hmm.
and the other side would be the story behind the lyrics.
Okay.
Now,
Yeah.
for both of the poems that we read, the poem that you read and the poem that I read, you were
Hmm.
able to tell me this or tell us the story
Hmm.
behind it.
Hmm. Right.
So I'm just saying that might be another way to explore your aunt's poems. To
Hmm.
have the poem. And do you think she has other poems that you missed or that you weren't able to put in the book because you didn't have the
Yes,
room?
she has. She has some that were personal,
Mm-hmm. Oh, I see.
and yes, I didn't put those in there because they were personal.
That's understandable. Okay, so
Yes.
I was just saying that might be just an idea.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Right. Actually, there's a story behind the whole book. There's a story,
oh,
and some a publishing company had called me, and they actually wanted me to get with them, and they were going to look at the cover and on the inside, and
mm-hmm.
they want to promote it, and they wanted me to put the price down. And they said after we look at the book, we may have to kind of revamp it. And I said no, because I don't want to put the price down. I don't want to start out over, and people like, oh, I thought you were selling books. What's going on with it? I don't want anything to be changed because I work very hard,
Okay.
and
I mean, what was their reasoning? What's going on with that?
oh, the whole goal was to make more money, and when the people purchase it, you get more people to buy it. But I
Oh,
said, no, and it was a lot of hoopla with it,
okay, okay,
So I decided not to do that.
okay.
Um, I like the book just the way it is.
Well, it's only 10.99, so it's not.
Right.
I mean,
Hmm.
I'm not trying to tell people to buy the book. Although, if you want to get the book, you can get it on Amazon and Barnes and
Right. Right.
Noble. And is it also? Do you also have a website, or do you just tell people to go to Amazon?
Well, I'm working on my website right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I'm working on the website right
Okay.
now.
And
Mhm.
Tachi just joined us. Hello, Tachi. Tachi's a wonderful
Hello, Tachi.
media specialist and professor.
Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, there is a story
Mm-hmm.
behind it. And I will talk about a little bit of that. The story is that she, like we just mentioned, she did not get to fulfill her dreams,
Right.
but she had some setbacks.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the setbacks came came from the relationships that did not work for her.
Right. Right.
And so after that, she got involved with being an addict, crack cocaine, and she, that was one of the reasons that she, started doing that to help, relieve her mind or her thoughts,
Yeah. Yeah.
And people ask me, so who do you want to be your audience to buy the book? And I said, people who have had cancer, or who have cancer, remission, or who kick cancer's butt, And so
actually, I think anybody who's lived life, because her poems cover the gamut. I mean, from talking about her mom and like you said, she took the words of one of her sons and made a poem out of it, and
right.
and she does mention disappointments, and a bit of triumph in here as well. So
right, and that's true. That's true.
So I think anyone who's lived life would could get into this book because she lived life. And
right.
It's too bad she's no longer here. But the beautiful thing about this book, again, I've never seen anybody publish somebody else's poems. So
right.
The fact that you thought enough of your aunt to publish her poems after her demise shows a lot. It shows an awful lot. It's a beautiful tribute.
Yes, yes, yes. And the book, I can say that it was God, that helped me and allowed me to, publish the book, design the front, the back. And actually, she was holding my daughter. My daughter was born in August, and she was alive, and she was holding Ashley. And I said, well, I told the publisher, I don't want to show my daughter. I want the book to be all about her. And
but she's really holding your daughter in that picture. Nice.
Yes. And so when I look at the cover, it's like, to me, she's with me, light, up there, you see the light, and she loved trees. And so that's why I wanted to do that. And the company decided, okay, let's make Soul pink, talking about breast cancer. And so yes, I'm just excited about the book, and I love everything about the book. And like I was saying, if it had not been for God, I would not have been able to do it. It took me 14 years, but
wow.
That doesn't matter. It was all, the outcome was awesome.
Beautiful, beautiful. Before we go, I want to ask you one more question, and that is, give some words of advice, especially to young people who write poems. Because I meet so many people who write poetry and they don't think it's a big deal. I think it is a big deal. Not everybody can write poetry.
Right. So my advice would be, I want to say this because there's someone in my family who just was diagnosed with breast cancer very young, her niece. And I just want to say to mothers, if you have a daughter who, that, a daughter is different from a son. That's all I can say. You have a daughter, you should love them, teach them, okay, when it comes to their body, when it comes to their feelings, when it comes to anything, be concerned. And I say that because this niece, Terri's niece, was diagnosed with breast cancer, and they may have to do a mastectomy. And you need a mother that's going to talk with you about things like that, and then they say at 40 years old, you should have a mammogram. But
Right.
sometimes, if sometimes people may be in a situation where, I need to talk to my daughter about this,
Mm-hmm.
going to get a mammogram, or first of all, like they say at age 40, well, let me call the doctor and see, if you can have it sooner,
Mm-hmm.
tell you, the doctor will tell you. But
Sure.
my advice is for mothers, aunts, grandmothers, talk to these young girls about mammograms, about eating healthy. I know a lot of people are getting the breast cancer because of what they're eating. So that's one thing I wanted to point out about, just letting people, giving them the knowledge,
Mm-hmm.
spread the news, spreading, what needs to be done when it comes to our young girls, you know.
Okay. Well, thank you for that. And thank you for coming on the show, Tonya. So
You're welcome.
I'm going to show the book
Welcome.
one more time. It's called Soul of the Earth, Terri's Poetry. And this is a book of poetry by Theresa McMillan, published
Hmm.
by her niece, Tonya McMillan-Reed. It can be
Hmm.
found on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, and those are the two that I can remember. You said some others I'm not familiar with,
Right.
but
Yeah, Amazon, Barnes and Noble, Books a Million, and iUniverse.com.
okay. Thank you so much for being on the show. It's wonderful meeting you on Facebook, and we'll be hanging out a little bit. So, what I'm going to do is officially end the show right now, and then so don't go anywhere, Tanya, because Dr. Tachi is here. She might want to say hello or
Okay.
so let me end the show now. So, thank you so much for watching TV Skywriter, and I will see you next time. Contact me on Twitter at Durham Skywriter if you would like to be a guest on my show. It does air live on Get Vocal, and also you can catch it on YouTube as well. So, ciao for now, and have a wonderful day.
All right. Thank you, Pat, and enjoy your night.